everyone, and welcome to another episode of Academia Talks TV. Now, for those of you who are new to our channel, Academia Talks TV is a new talk show that tries to put a refreshing spotlight on the activities of the academic community. Now, we do this through things like panel discussions, interviews, debates, skits, and much more. Now, for today's session, we'll be looking at a fascinating research topic and, examining it and seeing how it applies to our local academic setting. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Afifa. Now, for our panel today, we have Dr. Emmanuel Freeman, who is the head of the Center for Online Learning and Teaching and a lecturer from the Computer Science Department. So you're welcome, Doc.
Thank you so much.
And then we have Mrs. Lydia Sari, who is a junior assistant registrar from the Quality Assurance Department. You're welcome, Lydia.
Thank you.
And then we have Mr. Kwaku Asamoah, who is the acting head of PR and communications at the University Relations Directorate.
Thank you very much.
So panel members, you're welcome to today's discussion.
Thank you.
Now, have you ever tried, entering a store and then suddenly the door just slams in your face because the person in front of you didn't bother to, leave it open for you? Or have you ever wondered, where are all the gentlemen in this world? Where are the people to open my car doors for me? Where are the people who say ladies first? Some of these issues are what are informing our topic for today. We are looking at chivalry and whether it's a relevant concept in today's modern gender relations. Now, before I go on, I'm just going to, give a brief definition on what chivalry is. Now, according to the Cambridge Online Dictionary, chivalry has two terms. It has the old definition and the new one. Now, for the old definition, it referred to a system of behavior followed by knights in the medieval period of history that put a high value on honor, kindness, and courage. But the modern definition of it usually refers to someone who's very polite, honest, and kind, but it especially refers to the behavior of men towards women and how men are gentlemen, how they're kind, how they're respectful of women. So that is where the term chivalry comes from. Now we're going to relate it to gender relations. So just to give you a little definition on that, gender relations are the ways in which a culture or society defines rights, responsibilities, and the identities of men and women in relation to one another. So with that, let's start the discussion. So panel members, so the question goes to you. So chivalry, is it still a relevant concept in modern day gender relations? What do you think?
I think the key is looking at modern society, about how knights used to, treat the fair ladies, as it were.
Yeah.
Women are seen as the weaker sex, without being misogynistic. I think women are seen as the weaker sex, and I think chivalry is based on trying to make sure that women are comfortable, women are looked after. Contemporary society has maybe eroded that a little bit because gender relations, as we know, the gap between men and women has sort of decreased a little bit. Things are now more equal. Equality is the order of the day. And possibly because of that, that has had a degradative effect on the concept of chivalry, in the sense that now men and women can do the same things. So maybe there's a perception that women don't need to be looked after as much as they would have been before. There's cases where you talked about the slamming of the door. Yeah. I've seen it before that a man held the door open for a woman and she said, "Can I ask you to do that?"
Well, is that here?
I saw it at the mall.
Oh, okay. It's interesting.
So that, we talk about feminism, we talk about, like I said, gender equality. Yeah. And the instances where maybe some of this may be even seen as unwelcome or maybe perceived as, why are you trying to do this? Did I ask you? Do I need help? And so possibly that has had a degradative effect, has had a reductive effect on the concept of chivalry because our modern society looks at men and women as being relatively equal and being able to access the same opportunities, having the same abilities. And so why do men need to be chivalrous?
Yeah.
And so possibly, obviously it's an individualistic thing. Yeah. We talked about gentlemen.
Yeah.
Not everyone can be defined as a gentleman at the same time. Not everyone can be accepting of chivalry. And so I think it goes not as a collective opinion or collective perspective, but then at the same time, I feel that modern society has played an effect on how chivalry
Should we
is
state
viewed.
of chivalry now?
Yes.
Okay, what do other names?
Well, I think it is not an modern practice. In my own view, I think it is a practice we should bring back. Of course, various social dynamics and cultural background usually influence some of these practices. A typical instance is how a child is brought up.
Yeah.
So if there's a child or a student who grew up in homes that the father doesn't practice some of these things, doesn't, give that compliment or that gentleman attitude to the mother who is supposed to be the wife of the father, it is very likely the student or that child will come up from the home and will obviously know that it's a very good practice. In my own opinion, I will argue it from one, the social background of the student, the cultural background also, perhaps peer stuff. The cultural background, if you live in a typical Zongo community or typical, Nancy, Buko, hardcore level, it is not a practice.
Yes.
Everybody is finding
That's a good point,
his
yeah.
way out. So why should I open the door for a lady to, she can do that.
Do you think it's more of a European or, foreign concept? Or do you think, as you said, you talked about culture and how it starts from the home.
Yes.
And if a child is brought up that way, then they're bound to, copy some of these things. So do you think it's more of a foreign concept or something that we still have in our own local setting?
Yeah, I don't think it's more foreign. Of course, the term chivalry is in European context.
Yeah.
But even in our traditional concept, our own parents used to do it. In some culture, they don't even allow the woman to, stray so much, go to the farm, cut woods, and, get some firewood. At the same time, carry food stuff home. Usually, it's the man that have to carry all those burdens. So it is not more of foreign. When we grew up, we also saw that at a point in time when a woman is pregnant and is going to deliver, it is the husband that will usually support the wife to the hospital or carry the item. Sometimes even prepare food.
Right.
Before you call the sister-in-law, the aunties, the kumana symbol. So it is not of Western culture as we see it.
Lydia, what do you think?
Yeah, personally, I believe chivalry is biblical. When you read the Bible, 1 Peter, verse 3 to 7, it says, men should be considerate on how you treat women. And so we should honor women, we should respect women, we should cherish them so that our prayers are not hindered. Gone were the days when gender inequalities were distorted to favor men. And so chivalry was active, and men were practicing it. It's unfortunate in Africa setup, it is not really embraced. Sometimes we act blindly, but then it hasn't become part of us. And so I believe that if we all embrace it, it will help reduce the numbness of a human spirit.
Do you think that chivalry, again, we're looking at it, can men still open the door for you? You get in a car, they open the door for you, be polite, ladies first, and still see you as equal? Is equality an enemy to chivalry? In a sense, that's what we want to think about.
As I said earlier, I said that yes, I think that the way modern society has progressed, the way modern society has moved on, men looked after their wives. Men looked after the people in their families who they felt needed help. And I think that ties with how society has become now. Society is more individualistic now. I think the community perspective in terms of the way society is now has eroded. I think for now, people really look after their own. And so whereas before chivalry was more of a collective principle or collective practice where anybody could exhibit chivalry to anybody. It's now more about people that matter to you or people that you are directly related to, as opposed to just anyone. I think that's the difference now. I think chivalry, in a sense, hasn't necessarily disappeared completely, even though gender relations have, to some extent, made it a bit more minimized the way we practice. But I think now it's more focused on people that you directly affect or people that are directly affected by you, as opposed to, because as I said earlier, it could even be seen as an unwelcome act.
That's an interesting one. Going back to this example you gave, where you said the person said, "Why would you?"
Did I ask you to do that?
That's an interesting one.
When you're trying to, a lot of the time, we see there's instances of harassment, as it were.
Right.
And that may be seen as that, because at the time, we see there's instances of harassment, as it were.
Right.
And that may be seen as that, because a lot of the time, we see it happens, and that unwelcome attention, as it were, which could be just innocent chivalry, could just be someone being courteous, could now be translated into that because of the way our society has moved on, and as I said, the individualistic nature of society now. Because people wonder, why are you doing that? Are you trying to
pick them up or something like that?
Pick them up. Just see you in the street, and for no relation or no cordial whatever, then I just open up a door for you.
Why not?
I don't know you.
Yeah.
I can decide to offer you that help. Assuming we are all entering, maybe very close, Then of course I can see your gestures, and maybe if I'm the first person, then I open it up. Please.
Sure. Right.
That is, it's a very good instance. The cases, I don't even know where you are on phone, and perhaps you are talking with somebody and you just want to become super gentleman. Then you just open, waiting for the person making the phone call to enter. You see, another instance is two students came to my class, one lady, one gentleman. And when they entered in the classroom, the door closed. So the students in the room said, I don't have a gentleman. Why can't you just open it?
Right.
Now, another instance, anytime they see that lady coming to the class, then the boys will be rushing to open it. Then they will, hey, how students.
Yeah.
Then those who sit behind start to tag these guys as, they love ladies matters or because
that can be a problem, especially as a man. If you're being a gentleman and you're getting teased for doing it, you may not want to do it again.
Not again.
So that can be very discouraging.
Yeah. You sit in a taxi, Bolt, Uber, and like students, it is nice practice to open it for the ladies to enter.
Yes.
Then it becomes a norm that all the time you open it for the lady. Your peers and the people around will say, this guy has got something to do with the lady.
Yeah.
You see, and they also turn out to tag you. So, like you mentioned, it is now individualistic and the people closer to you. I can do that for my wife 1,000 times. I open the door for her and I'm comfortable. If she needs water, I can get the water from the fridge for her. But if it turns out to be the other way around all the time, then it becomes, weird and it becomes not normal. And if the person is also not too close to you and you turn out to do that, it becomes weird. For example, a female student comes to the office and immediately I offer the student drink, I offer the student water, do you care for lunch? Then you open the door. You know the implication as a male faculty. Why are you doing this for a female student? Or if it is a colleague, a female lecturer comes to my office and before I hear the voice, I open the door. Oh, doc, sit here. Then you care for any water? These are good practice, courtesy for boys. These are good stuff. But when it becomes norm, even the lady will think behind the scene, why? What is Dr. Freeman?
So in a sense, that would be a cultural thing. That would be a problem that we have.